Zach is here. We got a
Hello,
Zach
everybody.
Hello.
Sorry for being late, guys.
attack.
I just put in the chat, Jay,
Oh, yeah.
basically what is inside of each module that you see on the automation library website.
Roger.
That's how it's broken down by snapshot.
And so, Zach, you're going to send me an email this morning, kind of along these lines, because I asked how we go about creating these packages made up of all different modules. So I can now see what Charles has just pasted in, which modules make which automation libraries.
Yeah, so this actually, I guess we don't formally call them that. I refer to them as this, but I refer to the automation library bundles as micro bundles, and then because we have our ultimate bundles, which is like the small business snapshot and the SAS agency in a box, and then the micro bundles are just smaller groupings of the modules as well. So, but yes, did you send me an email yet, Jay? I've been on meetings nonstop, so I haven't checked my email yet. I apologize if you already have.
No, I thought you were sending me one, but I'll send you one to remind you.
Cool. Yeah, just so I have your email address
All good.
in my email, would be awesome. All right. So today, my friends, ask me anything because I don't have a training plan for today. So I'm just gonna be here to answer your questions. We could talk about the snapshots if you guys want, or we could talk about anything high level related too. So.
Yeah, well, on the topic of snapshots, so the new kind of form you guys are going to is having modules. So you'll have, like you just said, an entire like master snapshot, but you can also take pieces of it and purchase those individually. Is that right?
Yeah, right now we're not currently selling the modules a la carte, although if you guys want us to do that, let us know. Because we could look at doing that. We've talked about doing that, but right now we're just doing like ultimate bundles and micro bundles basically. Micro bundles are pretty affordable. They're like, I think $200.
Yep.
So we're trying to make it, pretty attainable for somebody to get like a few modules if they just wanted a few of them. But yeah, that's the current setup.
Got you. So like what Charles pasted here in the chat, that is a micro bundle, or those are a combination of micro bundles?
Yeah, those are so the ultimate sales would include the foundation, the payment automations, the calendar automations, refund cancel automations. That's a micro bundle. That's what he's calling a micro bundle.
Gotcha.
The conversation management, the reputation management, the contact admin, those are all what you see in the automation library is the micro bundles.
That makes sense.
Yeah, what I'm kind of interested in now that I've got the 2.0 and I've actually got each of these modules, and it kind of brings up how do you actually do snapshot management, and if you're going to be releasing an update to B005, and I've got B005 in my ultimate master, or my master ultimate small business, but then I've also got it in my sales micro bundle, right? How do we actually manage the changes that are coming down, in a modular format, push that out into a micro bundle and into our ultimate bundles? Because obviously we don't push out the snapshot you release. We have to put that into our snapshot so that then we can use the mechanisms inside high level to push those out to our clients' sub accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So actually understanding all of that, because what you're getting us to at the moment is, here's all your modules, and I'm like, okay, but that's only getting me the modules. How do I now manage that as a complete workflow all the way through to the client? And it comes back to, and then the latter part of that is, how do we put that into SAS Configurator so we can push these things out automatically? And obviously now that we've got numeric kind of in the mix, and I don't have numeric yet, but where we can actually go through the whole purchase process on a numeric checkout page or whatever it is, unlimited number of combinations of snapshots or something associated, and how do we push those out in an automatic way?
Yeah. That sounds good. Let's talk about the snapshot mechanics a little bit here, and I'll just share that diagram that I already sent to you, Jay, but I'll put it in the chat for you guys here too. And I'm going to be putting this in the I'm gonna try to shoot a video either today or tomorrow on exactly what we're talking about. I'm gonna put it into the 401 training that you guys should have. If you don't have the 401,
201 modular somethings, or
it should be 401. I think it's snapshot deployment tricks or something like that. Let me look here.
Oh, I need that.
Let me see here. I'll show it to you guys. Let me pull it up. Okay, so if you've purchased anything from the automation library,
Oh, I do have that.
earlier, and this would be like you got the small business upgrade or you got any of the micro bundles or whatever. The reason why I want to make sure that any of you guys that have done that have these is because initially I had the courses set up a little different and now I'm doing it this way. So you might have got caught in the middle. And so anyways, with any automation library purchase now, you should get the 201, 301, and 401.
Yeah.
And so this one is Intro to Modular Snapshots, which I just put a new video into this one today. If you guys want to look at that, sort of like what is the idea behind modular snapshots in the first place. This one we're doing a lot of work on right now. We're going to have some updates going to that one, but specific to this conversation, the 401, the snapshot deployment tricks, this is the one where I'm going to be putting in the video on how to do what you're asking about right now, Jay.
Awesome. I didn't quite see that those had landed in my training library.
Yeah, so the way I'm planning to break it down right now in this one is these two videos are published right now. Decide whether you want to learn or customize before deployment. And then watch this to understand linked locations, like linked snapshot locations. And then first time snapshot import in the client sub, refreshing snapshots after updates, pushing updates to linked locations. So I'll get into some of that, and then I'll have this in there too, probably sitting on the root level of the training. But so there's a couple considerations here, and I'll explain as I go through here. But so let's say you got.
Okay. Did you say it was already in there, or is going to be put in there? Those videos you were just showing just now.
They're going to be, yeah.
Okay.
All of this stuff is not published yet.
Yeah. Okay. Just gonna make sure.
But that's gonna be kind of the flow of information.
Not C onwards.
So you don't have C onwards?
No. Okay. A and
Yeah.
B.
Yeah, only A and B are the published ones right now. C through E are pending, but I should be able to upload those in the next like couple days. I'm just getting the last bit of content together for those right now.
And Zach, just real quick, which you said 3 modules are going to be released today? 3 other modules, 3 new modules?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you. Let me tell you what, let me do the snapshot thing and then I'll point out the modules that we have rolling out.
Perfect.
All right. So with the modules, whatever the stack of modules is that you have, like if you have a micro bundle, you might just have like 3 of these, you might have 2 of these, maybe you just have 1 module, and maybe you have the whole stack because you got one of the ultimate bundles. At the end of the day, you're going to go into your agency account first, obviously. And then what we're recommending is, all the modules that you own, you load all of those to one account as kind of like the master account where all the modules live. Now, what you can do essentially from there, there's a couple ways that you can do this, and I'll explain to you guys. I don't have it in the diagram, but the way that we do it, like in our sub accounts is every single module is actually in its own sub account.
Yeah.
So that way we can maintain all the modules separately. And so if you guys want to get like a little advanced, instead of having an agency account that has all the modules, or pardon me, instead of having one sub account that has all the modules in it, you could have, a sub account for each module that you own. Either way though, what you're going to be doing is, building a snapshot from your master account. So if you have one master account with all of them, that's fine. If you have several master accounts, because you're treating like sub accounts kind of as master accounts for each module, you can do it like that. So you build this snapshot, and so when I use the red arrows, this is like a dependency. So this sub account is upstream from this snapshot, which means when we make changes to this sub account, we can refresh this snapshot to pull the changes into the snapshot. And the mechanics of like refreshing the snapshots and stuff, I think I've showed you guys before, but that's just in the agency dashboard on the snapshot list in your settings, snapshots. Then you have your list of your snapshots, and there's a little refresh icon. It's like a little circle with an arrow.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed, and I'd built out a template that was pushing out to 3 or 4 different companies on the regular. And that's how I built all of that out in make.com and used, snapshot automation that way. And then someone goes, oh, it's just this button here. Wow.
Yeah, just to quickly show you guys, it's this little button here. So whenever you click on one of these buttons, it pulls in any changes that you've made inside of that sub account where you built the snapshot from into the snapshot.
Yeah, and just a note there, they have to be your snapshots. And so my mistake was with them on some of my first customers. I was using the small business, but I was bringing them in from the imported one, right? So I had an imported snapshot, and I'd just go and deploy my client accounts using the imported snapshot. But I don't think that allows you to do the updates like this. You have to import it, then bring it into your own sub account, then snap your sub account and do it your own snapshot. So it's in the My Snapshots area. And those are the only ones that you can push out. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because the imported snapshots, the destination for those, what they were constructed from is an account outside of your system. And so that's why you can't refresh an imported one. Now, man, if they allowed you to refresh imported snapshots, that would be so awesome, right? Because then like we could deploy updates to you guys, and then you could just refresh from your side, pull in all of our updates, something like that. It'd be awesome. But yeah, you're right. You can't do that right now. Yeah. So that, to your point, that's why you have to build a master off of a sub account so that you have the power to refresh any changes in that sub. Because even if you do one snapshot for all the modules and you decide to not put each module in its own sub account, the important thing is like when we send you, updates, you can still update just this account, with the module changes and refresh the snapshot, which is fine. You just have more flexibility, if every module lives in its own sub account. Technically, you have more flexibility in terms of you then being able to take to create like as many variants as you want of the modules combined with each other and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So either way though, if you end up having different variants, right? So let's say that this is a variant where you decided to put like 5 of the modules, and this is a variant where you decided to put like 3 other modules, and maybe in both of those variants you had some of your own changes and stuff also that you put in there.
And those are what you're calling micro bundles.
We call micro bundles that have, let's call it like 1 to 3 modules.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and as like just a side note, like in general, just taking into consideration like 3 SAS configurator tiers, but like obviously high levels releasing more, so there'll be a lot more variants, but assuming that there was like some kind of linear path going on from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 such that, tier 1 was for people like at this stage in the game, and tier 2 is for people that are more advanced and they're further along, or they're getting more, or they're paying more, all that type of stuff. Like the size of one's account, like how many modules they have, is probably going to increase, from tier 1 to tier 3, like if it's moving in a linear direction like that. And so
everything in tier 1 has to be in tier 2, tier 3. Everything in tier 2 has to be in tier 3. Is that how you're doing it?
Well, that is true with respect to high level features, but put like high level features in one part of your brain and then put like snapshot features in another part of your brain, because they can be tied. Like for example, it would be pointless to give someone a reputation management module if reputation is turned off in their account, and because the SAS configurator tier you gave them doesn't have access to it, like, so you do have to kind of think about that. But like, a lot of times, folks are just turning on all the high level features, right, for every single SAS configurator tier, and then they're just putting in different snapshot resources into their account. Like, because most business owners, like, until you help them with that thing, or like give them the tools to access that thing, like sometimes you're going to find people that are just like, they found their way around the system and they're using all the features, but most of the time it's like they're only using the stuff that you're telling them to use, and so that's why, well, I won't even get it. I could get into deeper. And also sometimes they're touching everything that you told them not to touch. But anyways, but you could put some modules in one of these accounts and other modules in this other account. But the important thing is that when you go to put modules in these accounts, like when you go to, let's say that you combine them all in one account. So this snapshot contains like a bunch of modules, right? So when you go to load the snapshot into this account, when that first screen pops up and it's like, what do you want to load? If you only want to load a subset of the modules, then you then have to select, well, I don't want all the assets for this. I don't want all the assets for that, which is kind of a pain, right? Now, you'd only have to do that like the first time while you're building these accounts, but it's a little easier if all the modules live in their own sub accounts in that respect, because then you can just do loads into these accounts separately, because you want to link, if you have one master snapshot with all the modules, that's fine. And if you have like the modules separated in their own sub accounts and snapshots, you can then like load, these modules separately into this account.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would still be linked to these snapshots. Now, if it pops up at the screen and you select don't include these assets and all this kind of stuff, that accomplishes the same thing instead with respect to linking these sub accounts to that snapshot. It's just a hassle that first time you go through, to make sure that there's no like other assets in the account and all that kind of stuff that you got. And it also, if you want to update these accounts, can make it harder if they're all bundled together, because let's say you do the push update to linked location, which is this feature right here. So once you've refreshed the snapshot, then you can push updates to linked locations. And when you do that, it's going to say, okay, like what all is new in this when you refreshed. And then I'm going to push those updates to this, and it'll give you a list of asking like, well, what all updates do you want to push? And so if it sees a bunch of stuff that belongs here that doesn't exist in this account yet, then every time you go to do an update, it's going to then represent that whole list to you of like a bunch of those assets. And you're going to have to parse back through them again and select which ones you don't want to merge over.
Instead of a separate snapshot with just the modules that you want, because then you're always going to do them all, because that's the plan that they're on, or whatever you sold them, right? Let's say you sold them like only 2 modules in X in X snapshot, then you're updating those every time.
Sorry, what's your question? I didn't track
So-
with it.
No, that was
Um,
right. But what Nick said, doing it separately, then you just have to update each individual module. You don't have to keep saying no to all the other stuff.
I
Yeah,
think I
so
was just chiming in to see if I was following you correctly.
yeah, so for us, here, let me do this. I'll just copy like this list here. So for us, you know, we have all of our modules and these are all their own sub accounts, you know, for every single module. And then we have our snapshots for every single module also, right? And so, you know, these are the snapshots that we share with you guys, you know, when you buy. And so whenever we make updates to this account, you know, we change this snapshot, we refresh this snapshot. Now, with respect to, you know, building any kind of bundles, like if we want to build a micro bundle of sorts, like over here, because like all these snapshots live in their own sub accounts, it makes it easy for us to say like, okay, well, ultimate sales, right? We're going to do B005, B014, and B007 to make like our ultimate sales micro bundle. And so then we can just load all the snapshots into this account. We can make the like final changes in this account.
So that account could be considered, that's a snapshot, basically.
So this would be like our final changes, like master,
That's a
right?
sub.
And yeah, this is a sub account. So like these are our module. If I put right here, like module sub accounts. And then so then this would be our like master, we can call it master module snapshots or module master snapshots.
So ideally,
I would think that
I'm
the
I'm
square
glad I
box-
started doing this the way that I did. So I actually created a sub account for each individual module.
Yep.
That's what I was
And that's really the way that you need to do it.
yeah.
So you need to create a sub account for each individual module, and then you create a snapshot of those modules. But then you have like, if I want to have a ultimate sales snapshot, I would create an ultimate sales sub account, load the 3 snapshots into it, and create a snapshot of that.
That's exactly what he's got here. Yep.
Yep.
This flow here is
Yep.
what I'm kind of getting to at the beginning as well. This is what I wanted to understand. Because this is the way
Yeah,
I was
same.
thinking about
Yes. Same.
So it's just more the I guess the more modules that you include. So like for me, where I'm going to have each individual micro bundle as an offering, but then I'm also going to have the ultimate small business 2.0 once it's completed.
Yeah.
I would have to go take the update, find the ones that it affects, load the update into the first sub account, update it, and then, gosh, that's a lot of steps to get all the way back out to the small. You know, if I'm including all the micro modules
Mhm.
as one large snapshot as a true replacement of the ultimate small business, I would have to import the update, load the import into the respective module sub account, and then push that to the micro module sub account, and then push the micro module to the master small business.
Yeah, you basically would have two refreshes and two push to linked accounts.
Yeah.
So you would have one refresh from here to here, right? Because you updated your module account, so you're going to update your module master, and then you have basically a push to linked account that goes down to your micro bundle account.
Mhm.
And then you refresh the snapshot from micro bundle to production. And then you would have, actual sub accounts in your system would be over here. And so there would be a
Customer sub
refresh.
accounts,
or a-
customer sub accounts, right?
Correct. Yeah, these would be customer sub accounts.
Well, and so let's not forget the upstream. We've got to do the import upstream. So you provide us with a new link, right? And so we got to import. Is that how are you releasing the modules? You release them just as you did today. I've just imported. So I've got a whole lot of, I've got to import them and then I've got to deploy them to the very first sub account as well. So there's 2-step prior to this workflow.
Yeah, you would import like any changes over here, like at the beginning of your system, so one thing to also mention that I wanted to mention to you guys that's really important, and this is sort of just like a high level limitation right now, or constraint, so to speak, with the way they do snapshots. So it's like, so if I send you guys a snapshot update, and in the module update, there is like, let's say an added workflow folder, some added assets and stuff like that. That is not going to be a problem, because when you guys go to import the snapshot link, like as long as I'm generating a link off the same sub account that I did before and sending you guys that link, like you should be able to pull in just the changes and trigger conflicts on all the other things so that there's not a bunch of duplicates. So you can essentially ignore conflicts and just import the changes that I've sent you. Now, the problem lies with deleting and moving things around. So if I decide like, well, we need to change the structure of this module, so we don't need this workflow anymore, we're going to have this other workflow do something in its place. Like that's the types of changes that are just like a huge pain, because there's not a way for you to import the snapshot in such a way that it can account for things moving, deleting and all that kind of stuff. And so that's just something to think about for you guys in your own flows too. Like, to whatever extent possible, like we're going to try to avoid structural changes like that, like coming to you guys, because of how disruptive it is, like going downstream to your other accounts. And you guys would probably want to do the same thing, if you make changes to your snapshots, like if you're trying to maintain your accounts and stuff, like it's just something to take into consideration. So
How do we make sure it doesn't overwrite our changes? Or how do we know if it's going to overwrite our changes?
it won't overwrite. That's the thing, is like
Because it'll be named something different, so it'll just add it and it won't overwrite something with a different name.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah, high level doesn't normally on snapshot import, the issue is not overwriting, it's duplicates, being created. Especially if they have the same names as other assets, it becomes extremely difficult to manage duplicates, because you never know which things to delete because they have the same name. And then like all your workflow linkage breaks because you deleted like assets, from the wrong grouping. So
So as long as you don't give it a different name, we'll be fine.
yeah, it's not just the name, like some assets have primary keys. So take like custom values, for example, you can change a custom value name, but as long as the key remains the same, then a conflict would be triggered in the system when you go to import. So
Got it.
yeah. So maybe, I don't know, like you guys are making me think, because, we've been instructing people to add these all to one account. The reason why we've been doing that is just because like of, I guess, being concerned that it's too complicated to recommend to everybody to take like 10 different modules and make 10 different sub accounts and stuff. So those of you that are like scaled out and wanting to be scaled out and all that kind of stuff, I think that makes the most sense. And it totally is the best strategy. It's just, what are your guys' thoughts in terms of, new people? I mean, I feel like, do you guys feel like we're making the right recommendation to put it in one sub?
No, definitely individual.
Is there any way to group sub accounts in like a one folder so that at least everything is in there? You have your main snapshot and you have your other snapshots. Is there any way to do that in high level, or?
You can name it differently, like
Yeah,
beginning.
the only way to do it is grouping them by naming convention.
Gotcha.
So like, I'm gonna have to definitely, yeah, I'm gonna be spending quite a bit of time in Miro over the next couple of days. But I'll have a naming convention for all my
You guys want to? I can show you guys ours if that's helpful at all.
Yeah. Even if you have a key saying, the contact uses this, this, and this. If you have a key, and then you just have all the separate modules.
Yeah, so this is how we do it. So like if we have a sandbox account, then they're attributed with sandbox. That's where we're like, building stuff. And then if it's a master account, which is like just signals to us like be extremely careful when we're touching these accounts because they're linked to snapshots that are live, you know what I'm saying? And so we say like master account, and then we just have the module ID and then the name of the module. And so in fact, just do this.
So if we wanted to put together a communication bundle, we can do B007, B015, and A003. And then those are the updates we would do for that bundle, right? We would have our own key and just use your names.
You could, yeah. And that's essentially, so here in Airtable, we have like our modules, and then we have our bundles, so if I go to like ultimate sales, all it is, we have the modules that are included in that micro bundle just related in here, so we know which modules we put, in that bundle. So you guys could totally do something. And then the other thing we do is, you see like version numbers at the end. And so, like every time we make a change to that, we're going to version, just increment the version by 1. And then that always means like once it's been incremented, that a new snapshot just got built, and so then on the snapshot, we have the build date and then like release notes for that, version notes for that particular snapshot build, what actually changed in that snapshot. So the most recent snapshot should have the same version number as the sub account, because the sub account is always holding the most up-to-date version of whatever you recently built. And sometimes you have a more up-to-date version in the sub account, right, that hasn't actually been built yet into a snapshot. So, but the nice thing, to your point, Sean, is like these all get alphabetically organized in high level. So once you put like the stars here, like it's going to pop them up to the top, and then after that it just goes in alphabetical order. So you'll see like B000 first and then moving downward.
Great.
Like that.
Does it put numbers or letters first? Do you know?
Hashtags before numbers, then letters.
Yeah, I think it's special characters, numbers, letters.
And spaces, like if you put a hashtag and then a space, that'll be closer to the top than without the space.
All right, how's everybody's brains doing? Was that How much of this can I put in the training without overwhelming
No, put it all
our
in it.
customers?
All of it. All
Yeah,
of
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
I think
Good chance.
from a training aspect and an implementation aspect, I mean, the right way to do it is to create a sub account for each one and then pick, say you want to create a sales snapshot, you would pick those four, create a sub account for ultimate sales, import those four, create snapshots of each of the four modules, load those snapshots into the bundle, create a snapshot of the bundle.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
And then that's what gets
it's a-
deployed from the SAS configurator.
yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
The only
Yeah,
suggestion
so
I would
they-
make is to give them samples. Like this is what you could put in the communication. This is, and then just do a whole bunch of samples, and then people can say, "Oh, I'm just going to
Even-
copy this sample with this key."
I think the biggest obstacle you're going to have is wrapping people's heads around how this all actually works.
I'm
Rob's
trying to
over
wrap,
there shaking his head like,
yeah, I'm trying to
yep,
wrap my own mind. I'm trying
So,
to wrap my
like-
own mind around how it works.
I mean, I think Jay and I have messed around with snapshots and pushing updates and everything enough
Yeah.
to get it. But even, I mean, I couldn't imagine a newer person to high level even beginning to grasp what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from an implementation standpoint, and from a sales standpoint, from Extendly's view, I would definitely, if it were me, I would get rid of the group onboarding. I'd totally trash that and throw in, hey, if you buy, say, 2 or more bundles or 4, something that makes sense. Obviously, there has to be, it has to make sense financially. But I'd say someone has to go in and set this up for them. There's no way a rookie to high level is going to set this up right. Ain't going to happen. I don't care how many videos you do or how many diagrams, it's going to go right over their head. They're not going to know what the heck you're talking about.
Yep.
That
agree
in
that-
combination with you're using different terminology than what's actually in high level, which
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, with the bundles, the modules, the micro bundles, but none of that's in high level. And they're going, what the heck is this guy talking about? Like, I don't see any of this. I took Chase Carter's, when I signed up for high level, I got Chase's, course on how to sell. And like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Like, this was not even remotely in there. I think it's, it's
Well, so
powerful the way it's done.
That's kind of what
Super powerful, but God, that's a learning curve
It
from
is.
hell.
Yeah, and so a few of you guys on this call are, obviously more advanced, and you're reaching some level of scale and all that kind of stuff too. And I want to make sure that we are able to, because what we're talking about doing right now with the sub accounts being, obviously individually set up is the best case scenario setup that obviously affords you the most flexibility to build whatever you want. But to your point, like new users are not like in that spot, where that's
and
even a desire that they have yet.
So even if you go back to the other way, let's load it all into one sub account. You're essentially setting them up for disaster down the road.
Yeah.
I
So
agree with what
do you
John
get-
says.
It's a
in the sense-
catch-22. It's either you do it. Yes, it's a much easier way to implement it. And yes, you could take that update, push it into that master sub account, refresh it from there, and then push out the whole snapshot again, which
It
is
depends on how they want to package and sell it.
a night. Well, let's say they're buying the ultimate small business, because you have to take it to scale. If it doesn't
Right.
work at scale, it's not going to work on the micro level. Or it may work on the micro level, but it won't work at scale. So if you take it, okay, if we take all these micro bundles and put them together, this is our ultimate small business 2.0. It can't, that was one of the downfalls with the originals, is that
Right.
if a new one came out, holy cow. I mean, you're pushing out a massive update, and you have to be so careful of when you push it to all the associated sub accounts, because you have to make sure that you're only updating the parts that need to be updated, which is the nice part about the modules.
Is it a good middle ground? Like, so I'll put a note in the bulletin board to talk about the group onboarding. But aside from that, like taking that out of the equation, like,
Yeah.
do you think that it's a good? Our thought was with like delivering all the modules individually,
Yeah.
but then having them put them all in one sub account was like,
Mm-mm.
okay, it's not the ideal setup having them all in one sub account, but that's not a problem that they need to solve yet. You know, like right now.
I would say the middle ground would be to, instead of pushing out all the, I would separate out the emails. And so if I came to the automation library and I bought the 4 micro bundles, I would hope I would get 4 separate emails. Like, here's your ultimate sales. Here's the modules. Load all these into one sub account. I could see a newer user doing that, because at least you're not creating, by the end of it, like 20 sub accounts to set all this up.
Mhm.
If you did both, I think, and if you
Honestly, I think
explained
that's
it,
ideal.
if you explained it like you're going to McDonald's, you can order a hamburger, you can order French fries, you can order a drink. Those are all micro bundles or whatever you want to call it, but call it the same thing every time. And then you can have a whatever McDonald's calls their big bundle, and then you can put it in here. But if you explain it like that and then explain the little words, because I didn't know what a snapshot was and everybody was talking about snapshots. And I'm like, nobody explained what a snapshot was or what a sales deck was. So just because we understand it doesn't mean they will. So just use that same word and then show, do a visual at the same time. I think that would work. And then if you could have them all bundled together and say, hey, the Happy Meal is this piece, and this piece, and you have letters and numbers like the B003 plus the B004 plus the B005 is the Happy Meal. And then put together sample packages of what all the things they could, break it down into. They won't even have to do anything other than say, okay, I want this package and I'll call it this, and I need these 3 parts. So you'll have both.
So even though it's been a lot to digest, is there anybody that feels like they would have rather us deliver it in one big link, or does everybody feel like, yeah, that was a lot to digest, but I'm happy still that I got it in these various different parts. I really am.
I'm super happy with the little modules. The only thing, but I haven't even imported them yet because I was waiting on the list of what the heck went with what. I needed some kind of, I'm like, okay, well, there's like 20 modules here. I don't know what the heck goes with what. So, or what it even does. So I didn't even,
also.
You probably need at least a description, right? For what, because that's something we're working on right now is like, because each module really does have its own.
Yeah.
Each module is designed to stand alone, with it.
Correct.
Such that it brings its own value. It really is its own little tiny snapshot. But I would imagine you guys are probably looking at a few of them being like, okay, so what does this actually do? Is that kind of the spot?
Yeah. And I mean, it would have been a whole lot less confusing to me if I would have received 4 different emails. Like, even if there was multiple modules in that one email, at least I know, okay, this is the ultimate, this is what I just purchased, because you have to translate it from checkout page to actual delivery. And if they check out on all 4.
Is that when you went through the checkout, Charles? Did you check all 4 of
well,
them?
No, I don't know how you put me through it.
I think you should,
because I was a legacy customer. So I just received one email with every single module in it. I was like, holy crap. I'm like,
for the small business,
doesn't bother me.
The small business upgrade folks are getting everything in one email, but if you do go through and buy the separate micro bundles,
it sends 4 different emails.
I need to actually, you know what? Now that you say that, we still have it. We have an email that sort of like dynamically changes its size, so it's like, but it does highlight like this bundle. Here's your links. This bundle. Here's your links. But it waits like 10 minutes after checkout to figure out what all bundles they got. Yeah, and then but if you think, I was actually thinking about 4 separate emails. I was kind of like, should we do that?
I mean, you may not need 4 separate emails as long as it's clearly separated in the one email. Hey, this is the ultimate sales. This is what's included in that. And then,
Like a key.
yeah,
Well,
but
just
then you
so you
also
guys
have the
know-
foundation that's in every single one.
Just so you
But
guys
maybe
know
better
too, I
to
mean,
actually do it in one email, and that way you can break it out. Hey, this goes in. This foundation is the core of all of, the bundles that you just purchased.
yeah.
See below the additional modules that need to be installed for each bundle, or each micro bundle. For the sales system, B001, the foundation link above, and then make them go back to that same link. Don't link it in the email.
So
times.
knowing how we're looking at them in terms of kind of like what modules you could kind of like put together, like, ingredients on a recipe list,
Yeah.
so to speak, that's pretty helpful to you guys, kind of like different recipes that you guys could.
As an analogy, yeah, for sure. And I think one level of simplification might be, at the moment, what you're doing is saying, here's all the ingredients. Automation library for ultimate sales is this. Put together your own ingredients. We'll give you the ingredients. You make your own Happy Meal, right? That's essentially what you're doing right now. You may want to, just at one level of simplification, think about actually shipping a snapshot that is the Happy Meal, not the ingredients for the Happy Meal. Because at the moment, you're just sending an email that says, here, import these 4 things, put these 4 things into your own Happy Meal package. But it's only one level of simplification. I prefer all the ingredients. Thank you, by the way.
We could potentially do that as long as so whenever we send you guys updates, the nightmare would be updating the Happy Meal and the ingredients lists. But we could always send a Happy Meal as a demo, so to speak. And then send you guys updated ingredients when those come out.
This is a tough spot.
You can always ask them what they want, how they want it, but I like the individual way, and then just have all these possibilities, all these recipes you could put together, but it's clear, yours are clearly labeled. So I'm only going to upload the 15 micro bundles, and then
here's a question, and that is, previous to this, you were only really shipping the Quick Start and the Ultimate Small Business Snapshot. Are you still shipping the Ultimate Small Business Snapshot as an importable snapshot, or are you from now on only ever providing all the ingredients to us and we make our own Ultimate Small Business Snapshot?
The latter, yeah. We just switched over to shipping the modular version instead, last week.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean,
I think stick with it and create some analogies and some great workflow diagrams, and agencies are gonna figure this stuff out.
So are these micro bundles going to be included in the small business snapshot 2.0, or is this what it is?
There is no, that's what I'm saying. There's no small business snapshot anymore.
Yeah, this is essentially the new one though, right?
The way, yeah.
We're referring to it as a bundle now, and that's essentially what everything is. The idea is that's what everything is going to become now, is bundles. Because that's really, I mean, when we built the small business snapshot, that's really what we were trying to do, is take a bunch of different problems that needed to be solved and address them all in this big bucket of functionality. But the problem was, it was common that folks would use about 20% of that overall package of functionality, and then their clients would just be confused on the rest of everything else that was there. And so even with the SAS agency, we'll probably pass around on SAS agency here soon, and that will become its own bundle, which will also have several of the modules that are used in the small business, but a few additional modules that are specific to the SAS agency.
Can I make a recommendation? Because I've seen it so many times where you have the samples and people are supposed to make a copy and use it, but they always use whatever copy's there, then they don't have the original. Can you put on it make copy first because so often they don't have anything to do it again with, because it's not clear that they're supposed to make a copy.
Well, there isn't. So, I mean, once you import the snapshots in, like that imported file is like your master copy. And then,
No, but people don't know to look at the workflow and make a copy of that workflow before they change it. Put an X in front of it and say, make copy. And then so all theirs will be above it and all the templates will be down below. So it's really clear, because new people don't know to make a copy first.
Oh, do you? Is that what you do? You make copies of all the workflows before you mess with them?
Right. Yeah, I've seen so many of them where they don't have the original because they didn't know there's nothing on it. Where I've seen other snapshots and they say make copy first, and they're like, oh, and they, you can put an X or a Z at the end of it, so it throws up on the bottom of all their workflows, and then they make a copy first because it's not clear that you do that.
I'll think about that, Heidi, on yeah, because there isn't too many workflows that folks need to touch, but there are a few of them, and
Yeah.
that would be frustrating if you messed up your master version and then had to figure out a way to import it in again or something like that. So that's a good mention.
And even with the custom values, they leave the Z in front of it, not knowing they shouldn't leave it there, or the whole name of it. They don't know.
Oh, I never change those.
Oh,
Are you supposed to
Well,
take the
because
off?
from a support standpoint, when extended support goes in there, guess what they're looking for? Those letters. Because that's how they, like, their support documents, what they're looking at, and like what the extended people in here, that's how they find stuff. So like all my snapshots and all my sub accounts have Z whatever, because it all links to each other. So from email template to text template to workflow, it all starts with Z dash whatever, or it may start with a different letter, B or A. Yeah, I never touch it. So I leave that stuff alone because I appreciate my white label support.
And all mine start with X. All my product types.
Yeah. If I make anything, I don't use their naming conventions.
Okay. Zach, can you touch on the 3 modules it's releasing today?
Oh yes, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, let me show you.
I noticed in the list you pushed out today that in the onboarding call, one of them didn't have a title in the email. There was like 2 links beside each other, but then also when I looked at my list, I got a B13 seasonal. Which was not something that when you cut and paste that list into the chat window earlier session today, you didn't have B13 on that list.
Yeah, you're right. I actually was on the fence about adding B13 to that list because probably a few of the folks in that onboarding call didn't have that module yet. And then depending on when somebody came into the upgrade, they may have had that one also. So, and I'm going to be sending out an email, here shortly with like the stack of modules that if anybody's missing any, then we're gonna, to your point, Sean, we're gonna be sending these out. So, but yeah, so let's see, am I still sharing? No, I'm not. So this one need a different. Here, hold on just a second. The seasonal communication is published, so it sounds like you have this one, Jay, and so this is one of them that's going to be going out, Sean. The seasonal communication B013, and then another one that's going to be going out is this one, B004 database reactivation.
And now, are these going to be combined into their own snapshot, or are these part of other snapshots?
These are going to be snapshot links, just like the other snapshot links we sent you, because these are going to be separate modules. So you'll get
That's the point,
So-
Sean. That we
Are
just
these
had before,
micro things that you were talking about?
that
So are you saying,
there are no snapshots that combine all the modules. You get the module snapshot and you do the combining yourself.
yes, but what I was meaning is that just like how he sent the list that B18 and B7 and B6 all go into, communication snapshot, for instance. These three
Call it
modules,
bundle.
are they?
Let's call it a bundle. I said, let's call it a bundle.
Oh, so they're in that bundle. So all these three that's releasing today is going into one bundle.
A bundle is a grouping of these modules, or a grouping of module snapshots.
Okay.
And so
I don't think they're going into one bundle, because we have one, for example, that's like about database reactivation, which is kind of completely different than seasonal, like holiday type emails, like seasonal, emails going out. So
That's two different bundles.
So that's the clarity that I was looking for. So these three different let's say, call it, I don't know what to call it, snapshots or modules, these three different modules coming to my account. How do I know where I should place them? And like the reactivation,
That's going to be
is
up
that
to
the-
you.
And that's
So
going to be
like,
totally up to me.
if you go the route like so basically I'm going to use probably, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to put to replace the quick start snapshot, but I'm going to offer a sales, a conversation management, a reputation, and a contact. Those are all individual, but now when it comes to my ultimate small business, when I'm building out a full snapshot to replace what I use as the legacy right now, that will include these additional individual modules on top of the
Okay.
other groupings, because really
Gotcha.
that's the only one that I would put that with in my setup.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah,
that may be different for you. And that's the beauty of this, is that you can package it together however the heck you want to.
Gotcha.
You could have the database reactivation go in with your sales.
Gotcha. But each one of these modules all need, like that database reactivation one, it does need that foundation module to go with it though. So that's important, right, Zach? That the foundation module you have, that needs to go into every individualized snapshot, right?
Yeah, every build, if you have one build that has like 3 modules and one build that has 4 and one build that has all of them, every separate build, you always need to have the foundation module in there no matter what.
Gotcha.
See, that was a good thing to mention.
So, Zach, are you with the database reactivation? Seasonal one seems like it goes into communications or conversations or something. Are you adding those to any of the existing micro bundles, or are you creating a new micro bundle, or they're coming out as other?
This database reactivation module is going to also be in the new quick start snapshot, which we're working on right now. And we currently have scheduled for September 8th as like a release date. So database reactivation will be in that one. Right now, seasonal communication, we don't have targeted for any other micro bundles. That one is just currently in the small business bundle only. Same thing with lead form automations, but we do have we have one other micro bundle that we're kind of working on, which right now we're calling it revenue booster, but we might call it something else. But we're contemplating, and we might not even end up releasing that bundle either, but we're thinking about another bundle. And so we had thought about potentially lead form automations existing in that one. And referral automations is currently small business bundle only also.
Right.
So are you guys moving away from having individual like niche specific snapshots as well then, or how is that going to work?
No, so the plan for the niche specific snapshots is, and this will be kind of like our architectural decision moving forward in general, is we'll every time we approach a new niche specific snapshot, we'll approach this module list and basically ask ourselves, like, is there any other base module that we need? Base is the ones with the B's. Is there any other base module that we need that like all niches could benefit from, like an additional module that sort of like this niche is helping us understand that we need like across the board? And if so, we'll build like that new module. But if a module already exists that can be used in that niche, and what we're really just talking about is niche specific language, niche specific funnels, then we will essentially increment one of these modules. And instead of them saying B, they'll say NB, like November, NB for niche base, which will just mean that like that's a base module that we took and we built it out for like a particular niche with niche language, niche funnels, all that type of stuff. And then we'll bundle those modules together and into a bundle that's specific for that niche.
What does A mean? B is base, NB is niche base. What is A and C?
A is agency.
Okay.
Yeah, so the A modules are, for example, like we're working on this one, A004 reactivation copywriting generator. And so this is A004 is kind of meant to pair with B004, the database reactivation. And so A004 is going to be a module that the agency just runs in their own account that has the ability to generate database reactivation for every contact, reactivation language for every contact in their agency account. And then they could go into their sub accounts and just, add the copy that was generated to the custom values and be ready to ship a database reactivation campaign off. But that wouldn't be, a module that you would add ever to a client account. It's like specifically intended for the agency account.
So all A's you want to put in client. So what are the other letters? Is there a C or anything else?
No, there's just B, NB, and A.
Okay.
We have like E for that, but those are like extendly specific modules. And so yeah,
those are more bundles.
Hmm?
Those are more big bundles. Or
What are, sorry?
The extendly.
No, those are just modules that we're running in extendly accounts only, and they don't really have any benefit currently to client accounts.
Got it.
Yeah, so there might be a case in certain instances where we have an NA, like a niche agency module, which would be for agencies that are dealing in particular niches. And so it would still be agency account, but it would be like a niche focused agency module. That might come into fruition, but I'm not sure.
Is there a letter or number for that everybody needs, like the A2P? Would that have something different that everybody would need?
Anything that like any base account needs the foundation. And so we're going to try to move towards putting any of that type of stuff in the foundation module. We just have to be very careful what gets added in there. But for example, one of the things that we're talking about putting in the foundation is a bunch of different pipelines. So that way, no matter what you are setting up with the base modules, you can kind of like pick various different pipelines that you want to map stuff to. So there might here soon be a kind of like a short list of pipelines that people can pick from in foundation.
Yeah, what does the foundation like kind of consist of? Is it like custom
just
values and
just
fields?
custom values right now? That's it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And you might have something that has, if somebody's on the do not call list or do not communicate, you'll have that in the foundation too, because everybody would need it.
No, well, I mean, technically, I mean, a lot of the B modules like can be used account wide, So for example, like list cleanup and management has like inactive opportunity triggers that could technically be used in multiple places in the account. Or, you might schedule a calendar event from within another module as well. You might end up linking to B007 from any other module that's like communicating. So they can definitely all cross pollinate, so to speak. And so right now the foundation, what's in the foundation, the custom values that are in the foundation are custom values that like many of our messaging templates rely on across the whole system, as well as like funnel colors. So like no funnel will work if you don't have the foundation module, because all the funnel CSS and like all that type of stuff is bundled in there. And then just the business's generic information, like their social media URLs, other things like that, that will likely get reused across the system.
So if you're transitioning from legacy small business to, you know, this new setup, essentially, do you just kind of like, is everything kind of getting wiped from the old one and you're just purely using this now?
Well, this, I mean, the bones of the old one like exist in this. We had all these modules. It's just that they were all very intertwined, and that wasn't, the functionality wasn't like carved out so distinctly. And so we basically took like everything that we know has been working in the small business snapshot and just kind of separated it more distinctly, and then gave it to people in chunks. And then in the event that something needed to be updated, like take seasonal communication, for example, that one had been having a lot of issues for a while. So the new seasonal communication is pretty insane in terms of, there was a ton of updates done to that one. And so there's certain modules like that where we kind of we had to sort of just overhaul it. But yeah, and answer your question, I think we're going to go right now. I mean, the plan is to move full forward, full steam ahead with the modular approach. But like, the reason why I'm asking you guys so many questions is because, we're trying to be really in sync and in tune with like not overcomplicating things, trying to keep it simple, but also set people up for future success and try to like find that balance. So if we're missing the mark along the way, like it's really important to me to get your guys' feedback, so we can make quick changes if necessary. So,
well, I like my suggestion for a new white label service.
I agree with Charles on that. I would pay for it as well.
Snapshot management.
New white label for what?
New white label service for
me.
Extendly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they got
So
onboarding,
tell me
they
about
got
that.
support, and they got snapshot management.
Yeah.
Here you go. We'll buy the snapshots. We'll pay for the management. You guys do all the updates and make sure they get pushed out correctly. There you go. Done.
Actually, a pretty good idea. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we could do that.
Did you make all these snapshots, Zach?
Not just me. We have other folks working on them now too. But yeah, I
A lot of
spearheaded the strategy here with these, so that's why I'm like hoping that you guys like it, right?
You think very organized. I like it.
Yeah, hey, can we just come back a little bit to, because I heard Charles say he's going to make his own quick start out of these modules, but then we're only a week and a half away from a potential quick start 2.0. Can you give us a little bit of what's in quick start 2.0?
Yeah, I'll get some market feedback from you guys right now. That sounds excellent. Let's do it. All right. Well, if I want to, let's see, I can go full board right now and show you guys, give you guys a preview. Let me see here.
We see the smiles. I think that's approval.
Okay. Give me 1 sec so I can track my stuff down, and I'll show you guys.
Hey, Ryan, can you add Zach back to the schedule? He's not on the schedule anymore, but he's here every Monday. The calendar.
I can. I can't do that, but I know the guy who can. So
you know the guy who can. Thanks.
See, where did my other? Where's my stuff here?
Yeah, just a general question on snapshots and especially like with the niche ones too that you guys are coming out with. Like, what criteria needs to be met for you guys to actually put one out for that niche?
You mean like what how do we make decisions as far as like which ones we're going to build first and which ones are coming out and stuff like that?
Well, like, how do you decide what niche you want to put out and then actually go through with it and build it out? Like, do you have previous people that have worked in that industry that, build that out and then you're like, okay, we can, put this out for other people, or like how does that process kind of work?
Well, the process, I mean, I think externally, and Ryan could probably comment on this too if I'm inaccurate, but I think for the last, let's say, year, externally has been kind of bringing people into on the website. We've been aggregating kind of like all the requests for different niche snapshots, and so we've been sort of making a running count of like how many folks are looking for those, and so I would imagine that would probably be that would be one of the decision factors that we would take into consideration as far as deciding which one we should build first, second, third, all that kind of stuff. But with respect to how we actually build it, for the niche, the perfect scenario is that they're that we're able to be in communication with several customers typically that are working in those niches. And a lot of times, like, we'll have a few folks that that we have in the cycle that are helping sort of with articulating their needs and all that kind of stuff, and they'll be the ones that get it like kind of in beta to test it and stuff as it's being built. And so that's how I'd like to do things moving forward as well. So I mean, if you guys have niches that you're wanting to work on, that are that you're spending like your day in and day out on, and you have some ideas as far as like how you would want to see that done and what would be helpful to you, and you'd also want to get to test something early and all that, I'd be totally down to.
Yeah, bring a subject matter expert, a shitload of content, and a bunch of money, and we'll make one together.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
You can share in the revenue, pushing it out through Extendly's marketplace. You just need to figure out a deal.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I'd be down to talk. I don't know what all is possible on that front in terms of partnerships and all that kind of stuff, but we we can always open the conversation and see like where it goes to. I do think that we're going to be doing some kind of like more structuring on affiliate relationships and all that type of stuff also with respect to snapshot sales. So there's probably there might be an opportunity zone there also. All right, I finally found my things here. All right, let me go back to my Zoom.
Just keep me posted on the affiliate stuff there, Ryan. Seeing as how I do a bunch of it.
All right, so this is tentative, so I can't fully commit to everything that you guys see until we actually or have launched it. So this is more or less just getting feedback from you guys on what we're targeting here. But we're thinking that the new quick start is essentially going to be a new module that doesn't exist yet, which is request a text back, and just like kind of request a callback. The whole purpose is for business owners to be able to put like a request a text back button or something on their website. And then as so many people are communicating via text now anyways, the idea is to just capture a lot of that traffic that's flowing to businesses' homepages, and that they're currently only able to capture via like a form or the chat widget, which is currently not incredibly useful. And so So anyway, so there's this request to text back feature, there's database reactivation. And then this probably won't get shipped with like the quick start immediately, but we're planning on doing this as like an update, after the fact, which would be an additional module added to the bundle for this copy generating tool that I was telling you guys about for helping just to write the database reactivation copy. And then there's this quick start sales module, quick start SaaS sales. And so basically the whole idea, with the quick start, and to get back to a conversation we had last week that Charles, you and I are talking about, is the B modules are supposed to be the modules that the business or that the agency can use as like the product, the lightweight product that they're giving to their clients, right? And then the A modules are the modules that the agency would put inside of their account to sell the product, And so they would use the reactivation copywriting generator to write the copy that they're launching in the B004 module that's sitting in the client's account. And inside of the quick start SaaS module, right now what's going to exist inside of this module to help them sell it is this landing page. And so this landing page is basically, one that we built, for the new quick start. And we're using the same components on this page as like what we're recommending that they put into their client accounts. So you have, this request to text back is, everywhere on this page, or they can just sign up, for the SaaS right away. And we're focusing on 3 features, basically. So you have this request a text back features. There's a little sample here of like, requesting a text back. And then you have missed call text back, turning missed calls into sales opportunities, and then bringing back lost customers with database reactivation. And then there's a little demo video, that they can watch down here. And so if the agency doesn't have like a demo video they can actually put up there yet, obviously they can just hide that block on the landing page. But once they have a demo of, how it works, maybe it's doing a database reactivation with one of their clients or something like that, they can put a demo video up. So anyway, so this is the landing page that we're planning on shipping with the quick start SaaS sales module. And then there's going to just be a few workflows in the SaaS module that are designed to mostly help with outreach. So like assuming that, people are just guerrilla marketing, they're new agencies, they're trying to get out there and interact in Facebook groups or go to B&I groups or something like that. We're just going to try to put a few workflows in there that essentially they could just drop contacts into that would start to sort of take the sales process along for them a little bit. Try to get them to the place where they're willing to, jump on for a demo or have a conversation or potentially purchase or something like that. So just some lightweight stuff in there. Mm-hmm. So that's the focus right now. What do you guys think?
Like it.
I like that you're including agency stuff in there because that wasn't previously part of the quick start. So I think it's good for especially people coming in, if they come in through, sign up for support or something, that they get this as part of their support package that they're buying, but it's actually giving them something to
it's implement. like an agency light plus a quick start. Probably I wish I'd actually started there, just in terms of simplification and getting started. I do have a question. Can you do a B004 without B003?
Oh yeah. So in the module list, you're saying, can you do database reactivation without list cleanup?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
The thing is like, if a business is going to, this is actually, in my opinion, the hardest thing about database reactivation, right? Because you have a conversation with business owner, you're like, we can bring back all your customers, that have fallen out and stuff. And then you're like, all we need from you is a list of the customers that are dormant, preferably in a CSV file. And then business owners are like, like, I don't know, like I have no way of getting you that list because their lists are not clean at all, and they haven't been in high level. They're probably using some other CRM or whatever. So for those that, are in high level, like, yeah, like the B003 can be super helpful at like starting to carve that list out over time, but you still have that problem of needing to get that list from somebody that, that doesn't have clean data. So
well, I just did my first big DR, and I brought in data from HubSpot, Keep, ClickFunnels, Partiful, and one other place. So 5 different data sources, right? And pulled them all in, and then I learned the hard way how to clean that stuff up and verify everything, and you name it. So and that was a database reactivation piece of work. It's like, oh man, we used to use Keep, and now we're using HubSpot, and it was just all, I had to do a lot of cleanup before I could even think about doing database reactivation.
Yeah, that makes me, because we want to do some training with the quick start too. So that's probably a really good thing to focus on with the DR piece of the equation, because I always kind of forget that obstacle is like a lot of times it's pretty actually big obstacle to overcome. So it'd be good to have some stuff in there.
So I learned that, you'll get blacklisted if you're, well, there was an issue a little while ago with the platform, and that new verification on import, I had to do all of my importing via, like, the import tool the import was broken, and I only, and I had 4,500 things, but so I ended up building my own automation and actually imported through automation, so nothing was verified using the new verifier on the way in. And so then I had to just kind of dump it all out, run it through a bulk verifier, bring back in the good stuff. But these things like if you send texts and you get 1% unsubscribes, then they're flagged. I got a flag the other day. I sent out some texts, it got to 1%, and they warning, ticket got raised. So if your list is unclean by 1%, or if people get pissed off in the reactivation process, then flags are going up everywhere. That's why I think list cleanup is kind of critical to any reactivation program.
That's a good point. I'm gonna have to think about that a little bit in terms of how to help
the
people.
other part of it, so like I've got a guy that all he does is he just does data. So if I, like in Jay's case, I would take all those, great, I'd give all the CSVs to him, and he would combine them into a master list plus each individual one and clean it, make sure everything was because the other part of it is, depending on what system it's coming from, the phone number may be formatted differently. And if it's not, like, if you have all these mismatched formats, it doesn't want to import, and like there's a lot of data management that can go into those projects. I just outsource it. I tell them, look, if you want to do this, I got a guy. Whatever he charges you, I'm sure it's worth it, because you couldn't pay me enough to do that. I mean, it's hours. I mean, it's all work in Excel. I mean, you can't, there's really no other way to do it except put it into Excel and a bunch of formulas.
I mean, use GPT sheets now. It's friggin'
I was about to say,
Oh,
put
yeah.
in Chat GPT and have it clean it up for you.
Yeah.
Just like
Zach is getting headaches on Monday now.
No.
Is there any other agency side? So in the future, you're going to have in Quick Start 2.0, you're going to have the Quick Start SAS sales and the reactivation copy generator. For the small business, which agency modules are going to be in that once it's complete? Or is there going to be any agency modules in that? Aside from the reactivation copy generator?
That's a good question. Yeah, we were thinking about reactivation copy generator in there. I don't know yet what other. We're just kind of starting to wrap our heads around like what are all the agency things that the agency could do that like interacts with the base modules. So I have a few other ideas, but nothing solidified yet. If you have something else that you like, if you have an idea, I'm totally down for that.
I mean, I think it's
'cause,
interesting. You know, I mean, personally, I wouldn't probably use any of them except the funnels or websites. That'd probably be the only aspect that I would use from any of them. And I'm definitely not gonna try to swap my SAS in a box to an upgraded SAS in a box. I'm not doing that. I'll just stick with the OG.
Sounds good.
I can only imagine how big of a nightmare that would be. Trying to convert my agency sub account over. But that being said, if the new 2.0 includes a new fresh website, I wouldn't necessarily be against that. You know, so when it comes to stuff like that, I mean, for new people starting out, I think including those agency modules is killer. Because it wasn't available to us OG people. So it gives the new people a definite advantage in that regard. But just didn't know what the plans were as far as any other agency modules other than the SAS in the box replacement.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you guys get any ideas, send them my way. I mean, I have some ideas on like the nurture side, potentially. There's also some ideas on, you know, maybe helping agencies build case studies with their accounts, just based on like account metrics that are coming in.
Mhm.
The other question, you know, exists as far as like whether or not we want to, you know, continue to add to the small business or like actually segment some of those modules outside of the small business, you know, and sell them, not just for revenue opportunities, but also just because like how thick, you know, should we make the small business before it's like as you guys know, you know, I'm gonna send 3 more modules today, like, you know, there's going to be probably, you know, 15 when it's all said and done. So that's a pretty stiff package already, especially if we're delivering them modularly. So maybe a few agency modules in there, but I think that sometime at that point, we'll probably have to take a, you know, start to actually throw separate functionality into other additional packages or something, just so people can kind of like work their way into all the content, you know. But if there's something critical though that like really would make the small business like shine as far as agency tools that people should have, like I would, you know, I want to put them in there because ultimately, you know, I want people to be able to be super successful with those modules. So all right,
not on the base, but just on a fringe. Sorry, Rob, I didn't see that. Where are things like Eve, where do they sit in these refreshes and maintenance, and you know, where's the bot base?
yeah, that's a good question with the AI side, because high level is doing so much. Like we're kind of treading this line right now of like we're doing some AI stuff, high level's doing some AI stuff, and like there's really only, I mean, the only thing we're waiting on in high level to essentially be able to do what we were doing with Eve is just being able to have that integration to, you know,
totally in-house as a workflow with,
right, like we just need a workflow action to post back to the review responses, you know, and then it's like we could do the exact same thing that we're doing. So I think we're
that's
like,
that's coming, that's going to be built. So I know the automated, they've already pushed out the manual AI review response. And I know the next iteration of it is full auto. But they're not going to do that, I don't think, until after they complete, because they're going to be adding, refreshing the social share, and also being able to, they're going to enhance the social share feature. And I think they're going to provide one more reputation manager, and then they're going to roll out the full auto response, and then you would be able, so it would send out the review request. You send out the review request, you get the review, it'll automatically reply to it, and you could have it automatically push out that social post.
Right, which is essentially what Eve was.
Right.
Yeah.
I think your answer is it's not something worth investing in if it's about to get built out by high level themselves.
Yeah, because like I mean, once so something that I don't think has gotten super people haven't started thinking about it super heavily yet is the training of like the AI that goes into everything that high level's doing, to whether it be like the prompting or like the knowledge bases that the AI needs to respond, like structuring objectives. And it would make more sense for us to help people with that piece of the equation, like inside of high level natively, probably, than it would be for us to invest in Eve. Because right by the time we like do an Eve update, then high level is going to be like, okay, here's now this is available, you know. It was exciting with Eve because it was, you know, technically like it was last November, you know, that we released Eve. So it was like before high level did any AI stuff, pretty much. Like people could use high level for AI. And so it was very timely then. But at this point, it would probably be not make a ton of sense for us to do it when high levels at this point around the corner. Hopefully it gave people a competitive advantage back then, but now it's like it's kind of lost that competitive advantage since the market's flooded now with everybody doing, you know, AI responses. But
You're right.
Sorry, I wasn't familiar. Sorry, what was Eve exactly? You guys used AI to respond to what review specifically, or what exactly?
Yeah. To respond to them and then also post like 5-star reviews to social. But it was all done through a combination of high level and Pabbly at the time. And that's the other part that, like, it would just be nice to be able to do it in high level natively, because whenever you're going through Pabbly or Zapier, you know, it's like there's just more things that can break, you know. So it's like,
yeah. Do you prefer Pabbly over Zapier?
No, we only used Pabbly at the time because Zapier didn't have a OpenAI app like in the marketplace. Pabbly was the only one that did, which was kind of surprising. They beat like everybody else to the punch. Then Zapier released theirs, but then Zapier's couldn't do multi-line in the prompts, so it was like still an issue. And then of course now Make, Zapier, Pabbly, everybody has it, but at the time it was just Pabbly.
But Pabbly is more cost efficient, right?
Yeah, if you have their lifetime plan, yeah. Which they do have a pretty good like lifetime plan. And that was the other reason we did Pabbly, is because of like they had ran this deal for a while, and like a bunch of people in the space got like Pabbly lifetime deals, you know, which made it like pretty affordable for a lot of executions. So,
and what's your preference anyway, regardless of that?
These days, probably Make.
Yeah.
The visual canvas is just like such a game changer compared to like, you know, Zapier. I do think Zapier, I don't know, Zapier runs a little better sometimes, but it's just harder to set everything up than Zapier. So
I'm going to run, Zach. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great.
Amazing.
Now, the three
Zach, if I
modules
could
that are
just
coming out
ask
today.
a couple of questions related to non-snapshots, but go ahead, Charles.
So you're coming out today. You're supposed to be releasing seasonal database and referral.
Yes, and yeah, at least those three.
Maybe lead form.
Yeah, maybe lead form. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then those are just going to be basically starting to wrap up the small business 2.0. Okay.
Yeah, we'll only have 2 more after that, Nurture and the digital business card link tree module.
Okay.
And those are going to be probably done this week. So most likely by like Friday of this week. So like Monday of next week, we'll probably be rolling those out, those last two.
Okay. And so to get the extra releases, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm going to run a smart list for everybody that we've delivered that is missing
I gotcha.
any of the new modules. And so you should be on there. Anybody who,
Okay.
technically everybody
Just
here,
wait
if
for an
they've
email.
received it. Yeah, you'll get an email.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And then let me grab your questions real quick, Rob, and then I'm bouncing out of here.
All right, perfect. Thank you. There's some quick ones. So kind of switching gears here in terms of pipelines, right? What would you say is the best way to actually organize different pipelines? Would it be by source, or how exactly do you go about the logic of creating different pipelines and structuring them?
Yeah, let me share something with you real quick. Let me find it.
Also, Zach, those training videos are being pushed out today as well.
I don't know if I'll get the snapshot mechanics one in today, but I did already add one to the 201,
Okay.
the modular snapshots. And that one's just like an intro to modular snapshots. And so yeah, definitely take a look at that one.
Okay.
But I'll try to get the training one on the snapshot mechanics in today also. Let's see here. I'm just looking for this picture that I had to send to you. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm sending it in the chat for you, Rob. Can't remember if pretty sure I don't know if I did a training on this or not. I can't even remember now. But just to quickly show you, so I normally always build pipelines based on this journey. And so, it's pretty common for people to have one pipeline that covers like all four of these activities, typically like the awareness, consideration, intention, and conversion. That's like your end-to-end sales pipeline. So it's pretty common for folks to have that in one pipeline, but there are some considerations in there, based on your niche, like sometimes in people's sales flow, they'll have like a proposal that needs to go out and get signed. Maybe there's a 2-stage sales process where it's like you got to talk to the setter, then you got to talk to the closer. So in this flow, like you have to figure out like what all stages, what are the milestones of the customer journey, like specific to that business. And that normally is going to go into your sales pipeline, but you can look at these kind of 4 steps as like considerations that you should have, like when you're crafting that sales pipeline, like at what point do they enter the pipeline? Do they enter on the awareness side, or like a very common entry point in sales pipelines in the high level world, at least, is intention, because you're not, let's say you're like an agency and you're running awareness ads, you're retargeting people for consideration, and eventually they're like, yeah, I want to opt in somehow, like calendar appointment, webinar, lead magnet, whatever, like, so they express intent, and then from there they're in your system, so anyway, you can take these 4 steps though into like, so what's the conversion flow then, like how many sales calls are there? Do we need to get past a proposal and get that signed and to get conversion? Like, so you can kind of use this anyways to just jog your memory as far as like what stages are happening sort of inside of these 4 steps of activity, and that can go into your sales pipeline. as you move down like lower on the hourglass, like the reverse hourglass, like delivery, retention, expansion, and advocacy, like it's not uncommon for people to separate all four of those into their own pipelines, where like depending on the business, like what's the delivery process look like, do they, so for us, like you guys buy Snapshot, like we deliver the Snapshot links. We have to get you through like an onboarding call, make sure that you're all set up, like all that kind of good stuff. Like what happens after the onboarding call, and that's where we kind of get into the retention zone. Like, did the onboarding call work? Like, was there issues? Were people confused? Like, were people different things happening? Like, and so somehow trying to follow up with like, how successful was that? So delivery and retention sometimes can be on one pipeline. Sometimes people separate those out, but expansion and advocacy are a lot of times on their own pipelines. Expansion activities can look like cross-selling, cross-promoting, essentially trying to get someone to go deeper into your ecosystem. Like this thing was helpful to you. Like, can we be more helpful somehow? Is there other products that would benefit you? Like, what do you need? And so you try to, kind of expand their reach in your ecosystem. And then advocacy a lot of times is like final stage, which is like, this person's like all over now, they bought all of our stuff. Like now they're making tons of money. Like they're loving us, like, do we want to try to see if they want to become an affiliate maybe, or like, do they want to send some other people our way, So that manifests differently for, every business, but like this flow is always like pretty much the same, with every business. It's just the stages in those pipelines change based on the niche. And sometimes they use different language for the same stage. For example, like chiropractors call, a sales close, like that happens at the ROF part of they call them ROF, like, report of findings, which is basically like when a chiropractor closes you on service, So we say closing appointment, chiropractors say ROF appointment, same thing,
Right.
But
yeah. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I appreciate all that. And then I guess one last specific question in terms of having multiple pipelines is, let's say you're running Facebook ads, right? And you're taking those people into a pipeline. Now, let's say, another person just simply calls in to the business, right? Do you recommend having them go in the same pipeline, or would you kind of also have different pipelines for if they're like a general lead versus like a Facebook ad lead specifically, and like sources like in that sense, or no?
no, not really. I mean, regardless of like entry point, but to me, the pipeline is more about like, where are they in the flow, So if they call in, they're already a customer, that's one thing. But if they call in and they're not a customer yet, or they come in Facebook and they're not a customer yet, or they come from anywhere and they're not a customer yet, it's like, how do we, like every pipeline has an objective, like at the end of it, you have to accomplish something with the pipelines. If you mark them as 1 on the pipeline, you got your objective. If you mark them as lost, like you lost the objective. If you mark them as abandoned, it's like we're giving up on trying to get them over the line, And so I do think it's good to have attribution going on in pipelines though. So like knowing if someone does enter, like, are they an inbound phone call? Are they a form submit? Like, do they come from Facebook? Like, where they come from, they're right here in this pipeline, but from where, so that's
Right.
still important. It doesn't normally need its own pipeline though.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
One quick
Doug?
question for you, Zach. Do you have a Miro board that you would be willing to share of how you're kind of structuring, laying out these modules?
You shared it.
But it's not. It looks like it's read only. I tried to duplicate it as well.
Oh, okay. I see it. Never mind. I missed it in the chat.
And I think, is there a way to duplicate that so that I can build my own? Because I'm in make.com right now, figuring out how to actually create an entire flow through that chain. I've got some of my own little snapshots that are going to go in.
You should be able to.
What's the button to clone what you just shared with us?
Yeah, it's set to view, but you should still be able to copy the board to your own.
Here you go, Jay.
Oh, make a copy. Okay.
So click the gear.
I don't even have a gear.
You may have to log into Miro.
You have to log in or sign up.
I'm logged in,
Yeah.
but I found make a copy on board.
Yeah, on board, make a
You've got
copy.
here, I've got the hamburger menu in exactly the same place with exactly the same items on it. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for that, Zach.
Yeah, no problem. Is that what you were talking about, Charles, or were you talking about
Yeah.
a Miro board or something else?
Well, is this what you're is this what you're going to be updating is this what you're going to be using, I guess?
For the training?
Well, so like they have a Miro board for the small business 1.0. So like anytime I need to reference it as an agency owner, I can go in there and see what it's nothing I would ever share with a client or anything.
Oh,
but sometimes I'll use on like chat support with the team, you know, like, hey, I'm over here. Can you take a look at this, see what is broken or why is this
I
missing?
reference it all the time. I'm like, how do I chase this thing down? And I bring up the Miro board and
there's a Miro board in the course for every single module. Those
Okay.
will for sure be maintaining you know, if there's any module updates and the new modules that are coming out, those will also have Miro boards. If you guys go to the how to use section of the SBS 2.0 course, if you click on any of those modules, like there's a walkthrough video at the top, and then a Miro board down below. And in the video, we're essentially walking through the Miro boards. You should be able to click on those in a separate tab too, if you want to like pull them outside of the high level course area.
Which course is that?
The Small Business Snapshot 2.0.
Okay. All the Miro boards are in there.
Yeah, go to the how to use section. Let me flip over and show you.
Oh yeah, how to use each module.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
See the board. Can we clone the board from there as well?
And so let's get started with the
Star new board. I can't. I'm authenticated in there. I don't seem to be able to make a copy from inside that little window.
Yeah, you probably have to like pull it open in a new tab or something.
How do you kick that out to a full screen?
Let me see. I think you can. Let me look. List cleanup and management.
Did you figure that out, Charles?
I'm working on it.
Maybe what I should do is just put the link in.
Yeah. Instead
in
of
there
embedding
also.
it. Because I'm looking at it and I'm logged. It shows me logged in.
Yeah, same.
You can click on
the.
you can click on the little arrow. Like here, I'll show you guys. Which I don't know if I think once you click on see the board, the arrow might go away. But before you click see the board, if you click on that little guy.
Okay.
Thank you. Hard refresh.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Deal.
No problem, guys. I think I'm going to sign it off for today, but
Yep.
It's fun hanging out with you guys as always.
Yep. Epic. Thank you.
Zach.
Appreciate you.
it.
No problem, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you,
Talk
Zach.
to you guys next week.
Want to learn Go High Level in a structured format? Check out the GHLacademy.com by Extendly. We guarantee to save you 6 months of wasted subscription costs for High Level. Just visit the GHLacademy.com.